Hi, children's writer Bijal Vachrajani is here with us today. Hi, Bijal. How are you doing?
I'm good, Jessica. How about you?
Hanging there. All right. So I think I'll start off by asking you what made you want to become a children's writer.
As a child, I always wrote those classic, typical little Betty diaries, like Dear Diary. Today was a very difficult day in my life. And I moved from Delhi. My family moved from Delhi to Mumbai, and I obsessively wrote things in my diary because I was a very shy, introverted child, and I found it very hard to make friends. So I started writing instead. And I never thought I'd be a writer. Honestly, I think writing was an accident. I always knew that what I wanted to do was work around nature, around animals. And that path, the two paths collided across many points. I worked with PETA India with animals. There I started to write. I worked with Sanctuary Asia on a school program, and there I would freelance for other organizations and all of that. And I realized that that's actually what I was interested in, the whole intersection of nature and children's writing. And very slowly but surely I got there.
Oh, that sounds great. Such an accident, but a wonderful accident at that, because you've written some wonderful books, I must say.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
That actually brings me to my next question. So when you're writing and when you first get an idea, what form does the idea take? Is it always a picture book, or is it a regular storybook, or do you decide later? Like, what is your process?
My process is very messy. And what I do is when I get an idea, I first think a lot about it. I don't put anything to paper for a very long time. I just think about the idea. I think about a what if, who, why, what, where. And then I take bits and pieces of paper, uh, post-its and papers I've used one side of, and I start drawing out scenes and characters for myself to see if this works. And then I start stitching together a story. Like the story that's going on in my head, I start committing it to paper. Sometimes, of course, the reverse happens is when the publisher asks me to write something specific. So, for instance, with What's Nima Eating Today, they asked me to write something about food security. So I already knew the direction I was supposed to go in. And the same way for So You Want to Know About the Environment, I was told a non-fiction book on the environment. In which case, your brief is so tight that you only operate within that. But even for Nima, I drew lots of fruits and vegetables for some reason, and mapped them to months that they are available in. So You Want to Know has like tons and tons of like actions that I have tried and scratched out and tried again, and okay, saying this works, that works. So a lot of it is just little bits of pieces coming together. Then I do a messy first draft, which is half on the computer, half in my notebook of that time. And then I put it all together when my agent says, Bijal, you have a deadline. So then I put it all together, and then I feel it's terrible and I hide it. So.
Well, wow, so you were also an illustrator. That means that you do.
No, they're really bad doodles. They're just doodles that are like, so that I know that she's tall, or does she have great skin, does she have acne at this age, does her father have long hair. It's really to just kind of visualize all of them in my head. And the final characters may not look anything like that, but I cannot start something until I've drawn everybody out as little doodles.
Wow, okay. But that definitely sounds fascinating. I mean, I love the wall behind you where you're sitting. Did you do it yourself, or is it a wallpaper?
No, it's a mural, and we call the mural Nonli Anna because it's a mural. It's done by two friends of ours, Shikha and Amitabh. Amitabh is actually also a very well-known artist as a Shikha. So they've done this L-shaped wall in the house.
Wow, they're definitely talented. It looks amazing.
Yes, they are. I will tell them you said that.
Thank you. Coming to your role as an editor, you are editor Scissorhands at Pratham Books. Now, I am very interested to know what is the story behind the name Scissorhands? Is there an interesting backstory here?
So actually, I used to be the editor at Time Out Bengaluru for a year when I moved back to India after my master's. And my team would write these long feature articles and I would edit them, and then they would put it on the page and be like, Bijal, can you come and cut this down to 800 words? And I would sit and cut everything. Like, everyone knew that if you wanted something chopped to fit into the template of the magazine, they would call me. So I was literally that person there. Apart from being the editor, my job was basically chop, chop, chop. So when I joined Pratham Books, one of the things about picture books is something quite beautiful, that you take this big idea and you pare it down to the core of the idea, right? Because a picture book has such few words in them. So I realized that that's what I would keep saying. So if somebody had written a full line thing describing a cat, a dog, a rat, a tree, I would be like, remove all the other words and let's just keep cat, dog, rat, tree. At which point it became a thing like, listen, if anyone wants to cut, I'm your go-to person. And so we've all seen Edward Scissorhands. So it kind of felt befitting that that's the title I got.
Well, that's quite a reputation to have, and it's a very cute name, so it works.
It's a handy thing to have. Not everyone, not too much happiness from everyone, but yeah.
Yes. Well, when you're the editor, you can't really please everyone all the time. So
yes, except the reader, most important.
Yes.
You have to please the reader.
Hands down. Yes, totally agree with you. So, having edited so many children's picture books and storybooks, you must have gone through hundreds of thousands by now. Is there any book that has made an impact on you, that you still remember?
Oh man, so many. I think for me, books are my reading is what I know to do, and I'm very lucky that I finally have work that is where reading is very, very integral to my life, to my work life and my personal life. Many books. I grew up reading Enid Blyton, of course, like many people, or many Indian children of my age. A lot of the nature themes in Enid Blyton have stayed with me. The idea that you climb a tree and you reach a magical world is very true of climbing any tree. More recently, one of my favorite books that looks at captivity is The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. And I read it once a year, I think, and it just makes me cry. It's so beautiful. I also really love The Lost Words. It's this beautiful book by Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris. And it's these little spells, poems about nature with these gorgeous illustrations by Jackie. It's a book that I often go back to. Apart from that, Anushka Ravishankar's Hick, anything Anushka writes, anything Shabnam Minwala writes, I will go back to constantly. Closer Home. Ranjit Lal's Tigers of Taboo Valley is something I use very often to talk about nature writing. So these books are those that have really impacted me as an editor and as a writer, I think.
Wow, that's quite a lot of books. Any more that you would like to recommend, as must reads for children?
So if you're really young, for small children, I would totally recommend reading Hick by Anushka Ravishankar and Christian Pepper. It's a really, really fun book. Um, some of my other favorites are Amachi's Glasses, which is this wordless book by Priya Kurian, and Amachi's Amazing Machines, which is written and illustrated by Rajiv Aip. Puchku, a book for Puchku by Dipanj Napal and Rajiv Aip. If whether you like books or not, you will love Puchku, and you have to love books after that book. It's also a little tribute to librarians. Little older, I would say check out the Hook books by Duckbill. They've come up with these really fun books, which are a nice bridge between picture books and like early chapter books. In that, there's the books by Hansta, Sovendra, Jerry Pinto, Anushka Ravishankar, and Paru Anand. And I know there are more in the pipeline. For slightly older children, read anything Shabnam Minwala writes. Her books are great fun. There is the Nimmi series, which is a school series. There's Samit Basu's school series. And Ranjit Lal's books are great fun. And Anushka Ravishankar's Moin and the Monster is a must read, I think. And of course, if young adult, I would say Shabnam's What Maya Saw. Talking of Muskan by Himanjali, which has an LGBT theme, one of the first few Indian young adult books to have that theme. Yeah, those are some of my favorite books.
That's quite a lot. Thank you. I really enjoy reading the Amma Tell Me About Diwali, Amma Tell Me About Holi series. I love the illustrations in that series. Really, really so cute. Like just eat their cheeks out. Very cute.
And you also interviewed Kanato for Snip, and Snip is another favorite book. Kanato Dimo.
Oh yes, we interviewed him for Snip. Yes, that was also a very nice book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to the feedback part of your writings, have you ever gotten any negative feedback from parents or teachers about your books?
I think everybody likes books about the environment, so they're quite. So I know that Nima has a fair bit of readership among children and teachers. So You Want to Know has been used in schools. So with my book, A Cloud Called Bhura, Climate Champions to the Rescue, children loved, like young adults and tweens have loved the book. They've come back to me with some really positive feedback about how they felt that I got the language right. And also, I think, I know that I have one cuss word in it, which grown-ups may not approve of, but it's actually the child ends up admonishing her mom for you, like she's like, her mom uses it and the child says, I'm grown up enough to know what it is, and again, like as I said, I haven't got any negative feedback so far. The book does give a lot of agency to children in that sense, I have heard from a couple of people that sometimes it makes some grown-ups uncomfortable, but I think children from Famous Five Times and before that in fairy tales and all have always had agency to make interesting decisions, which leads them to many interesting places. So I think it's always a good thing to do that.
Yes. Phoebe all the way, the lady who tells the truth.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I know that, and that's so cool. It's actually very cool. You don't treat children as if they don't have a mind of their own. So it's very Dumbledore of you. So
I think that's pretty much a lot of my writer friends across the children's literature community feel very strongly about that, and I'm very lucky to have worked with editors who also feel that.
That's really great. Keep up the good work. Yeah. So going by that, you write, you're an editor, you also write for other publications as a freelance journalist. So how do you juggle all three? Like, with regards to time management, with regards to your creative capacity as to not get saturated, like share your secrets with us.
I wish I had one. Yeah, my problem is, I think it's my journalism training, where if you have a deadline, you work towards it. So if you don't give me a deadline, I will not work towards it. It's as simple as that. Then this book just sits there in a corner. Bhura took 6 years or more, and finally I knew I had to close it, so I did. But for me, I think it is really just that. I spend a lot of my weekend doing my other work, and it's something that I think I'm at a point in my life where I don't see that much distinction between my work and my personal life. It's reading, it's writing, it's talking about books, it's discussing books. So it all comes together very well. I'm not very disciplined until, like I said, I have a deadline. Once I have a deadline, then unfortunately I disappear. Like I forget about a lot of meal times, and then I'm just writing. So that's really what happens. I just feel so guilty and jumpy that, and by then I'll have done all my chores, because to put off writing, I will go dust things, I will bake something, I will go clean things, I will clean my laptop's keyboard. And then I'll be like, oh no, there's nothing left to do now, so I have to write.
Oh my God, you just described every writer's life ever. That is so true.
We are all cliches at the end of the day.
But if you had to choose, from your roles as a writer, editor, and journalist, if you had to, which do you enjoy the most? Like,
I enjoy reading.
Good. Okay, diplomatic answer. I'll take it.
Oh, good. I was going to get into an explanation, but since you're happy with it, I'm glad.
Thank you so much. So, like you mentioned, you're an environmentalist too. Your profile says you are a climate warrior. So that is the term for it, yes. So your book, So You Want to Know About the Environment, is a pretty unique one, I think, because you've taken the complex subject of climate change and you've fit it into the ambit of children's literature. How did you manage to do that? Like, how did you manage to make it that simple? Because, for children, it has to be that comprehensible.
Firstly, thank you for saying such lovely things. So you want to know about the environment? Actually, I wrote when I just came back from studying climate change. I went to do a master's in environment, security and peace. And I'd come back, and my editor approached me and said, do you want to write something that talks about the environment in the Indian context? And it was something I've been itching to do while I was doing my master's, because you constantly realize there's so much literature internationally around this for children, but there was very little in India when it came to nonfiction or fiction. So it wasn't the easiest, because climate's very complex, and often I would write something, and then when I'd submitted my draft to my editor, she did write back saying, this is a little complex, would you like to simplify it? Or even for the new book I've co-written with Radha Rangarajan, it's called 10 Indian champions of fighting to save the planet. And there are things in there that I think is very obvious. Everyone knows about climate change, and my editors will be like, no, it's a 12-year-old reading your book, you've got to tell them this. So I do think that a lot of feedback helps, but also I read a lot of middle grade and young adult fiction and picture books as well, and I think that kind of helps you understand as to how you would approach something so difficult and break it down. And the fascinating thing about children that age is that they're naturally curious. So when you pose them these questions like what is the connect the dots between a cow's belch and climate change. They're able to find you. They're curious and they want to know answers, and they care about the environment, so it makes it easier.
So the feedback was pretty helpful. So it did take that amount of, consideration into account, like how to make it simpler for children.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's what I think. I've been lucky to have editors who've done that, who reined me in when I've been like, "Yay, let's do this and that," and but who also let me have my say. So, for instance, I was most pleased about this little poster that we created. It's like the most wanted posters, and it says most wanted greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And just the fact that when I spoke to the illustrator Shayan Mukherjee, he was also just like, yes, I'd be very happy to do something like that. So it was actually fun to say, how do we get children to think about climate change in a more literary way almost.
And that was also pretty fun to spin it like a wanted poster. It was pretty very creative. Wow, really love the idea. Yeah. So that makes me wonder. So you're a children's writer, so it's like you said, it's a given. You do read a lot of children's books. But when you were a child, what kind of books did you read?
I grew up on a steady diet of Enid Blytons. Then Russian picture books were something that made their way to India. So they had some beautiful art. And so I read a lot of those. As we grew up, whatever my sister read basically is what I would read. She would read Nancy Drew, I would read Nancy Drew. She did not like Hardy Boys, I did not like Hardy Boys. So it was, and then Archie's comics, of course. It was only as an adult that I actually came across different forms of children's literature.
Okay. You were also the co-founder of BAM Books,
Yes.
which is a pretty great initiative, I think. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Like, how did you come up with its idea? What future aims or goals do you have for it?
So BAM Books stands for two things. It stands for Bijal and Megan, my co-founder. And it also is BAM, the power of books, because that's what we believe in. And many years ago, Megan and I would meet to try and write together. Like, she would write her thing and I would write. And instead, we would start talking about the books we had read recently. And both of us I was reviewing children's literature, and she was also doing that. She worked with Tara Books for a while. Then she also did some part-time work at Lightroom Bookstore in Bangalore. So both of us were obsessed with children's books. And one of the things that really would get to us is that there were so many interesting books out there, but how do we get the word out to educators, to parents? And my theory was that, and Megan completely agreed, I said, like, we need to see covers to remember things. We're essentially in a very visual kind of time. And so we said, let's try with an Instagram handle which shows you a cover of the book so that you retain that, and talks a little bit about the book. And from the beginning, we were very sure that we wanted to put books we love. So it's about the books we love. It's about so I do get a lot of books, and from there, the books that we really love is what goes on to BAM Books. So it's like this curative. I use this word very like I'm not sure of using it, but like, it's a place to curate children's books. But for me, it's more of a space where you can discover books. You can also celebrate them. You can discuss them. In the lockdown, we've had some fun things we've done. We've asked readers to send us moods, and we've matched them to a book, and so on. So basically, have fun with the books we have at our hand.
Sounds like a fun exercise, the one that you mentioned. Pretty cool.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, apart from children's literature, what else do you like to read? Any other genres or formats you indulge in?
I read a lot, like a lot, and it's come to a point where I have run out of bookshelf space, and I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bookshelves and bookcases in my house, and varying from really big ones to small ones. So I'll read anything from crime to chick lit to food books. Food is a big subject that I read. Graphic novels. Um, then nature books, a lot of environment books, and a lot of literary fiction, Indian literary fiction as well as international. So pretty much anything that's well written, I read.
7 bookshelves. Can I move there, please? That is like my dream house. So many books. Wow. That's great.
They're taking over the house.
Yeah. So, since you read other genres and formats also, have you thought about writing any of them? Like maybe writing for adults or, writing a full-fledged novel?
No, I don't think I plan to. There are no plans in the horizon, at least. I love writing for children. I love editing for children. I just think that it's a very special place. It's full of really wonderful people. It gives me a freedom to explore so many dimensions, both as an author as well as an editor. And I just think that it's something that I don't really need to think whether it's for children or adults in that sense. But I always know that what I write, I would like children to read. The grown-ups can take care of themselves.
All right. I think that's all. Thank you so much for your time, Bija. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It was lovely talking to you as well. Thank you for having me and my Mad Environment books.
Anytime. All right. Bye. Take care.
Bye.